What's interesting about all this is war is a part of the end time of Islamic teaching. They say a war with the East and West comes, the West is defeated and the East rises, which is where they are. And eventually they teach, I don't mean, please don't take this wrong or don't read into what I'm saying, but I talked 5 years ago that the Muslims taught that they would have a white horse candidate, they called it, in the White House. A white horse meaning you don't want to go there. A white horse meaning the white horse that Muhammad rode on. And by the way, the white horse that Muhammad rode on, read it in history, it's called Barak. And that's why you have so many conspiracies and theories about what's going on today, because the Muslims have taught that for years and years and years, that they would have an Islamic flag flying over the White House, and they would have a person that would make positive decisions for them. Now, don't you get mad at me and don't read into that. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying I've been to the Middle East and heard them talk about this. Y'all want me to go on from there and talk about what's about to happen? All right, watch this. This is interesting. When I was in Israel, the Muslims have always said to me, now when the Mahdi comes, Isa ibn Maryam will follow him. Isa, Jesus, that's the name for Jesus. Here's what they say happens. He appears in Damascus at a white mosque. A white mosque. Now Damascus is going to be destroyed and devastated, so I can't figure out how this Jesus is going to come out of the white mosque, according to them. But he's going to come, and now I want to share with you Revelation 13, the second half. I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and this beast had 2 horns like a lamb and spake like a dragon, and he exercises all the authority of the first beast, causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. He deceives those that dwell on the earth by the signs he was granted to do in the sight of men, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast that was wounded by the sword and did live. He was granted to give breath or life, in King James, to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Now, the first beast is the Antichrist that rises up out of the sea in 13:1 and 2. The second beast rises up out of the earth in chapter 13, verse 11. The first beast is the Antichrist, political military leader. The second beast is absolutely a religious leader. Here's what's interesting. He is called a lamb with 2 horns. This is the only place in the book of Revelation where the lamb is not Jesus. But because a lamb represents Christ, and Christ is the founder of the Christian faith, this lamb will come as representing a Christianity that's not real Christianity. Now, the 2 horns represent 2 religions, the authority with 2 religions. Since the Jews are being persecuted and running out, there's only 2 other religions in Jerusalem and in Israel that will be prominent, Islam and Christianity, but not the Christianity you and I think of. It's called apostate Christianity. Now, Mystery Babylon by many is believed to be Rome. I'll have to talk about that, I think, tomorrow morning, I believe it is. And it's believed to be Rome. And they say when Rome was destroyed, the false prophet will move the headquarters from Rome to Jerusalem. And most Catholics, and I totally agree with them, and I won't go into this teaching in great detail, but most Catholics believe that the false prophet will be a defective pope who will deny that Jesus is the Son of God, and by doing that, he merges with Islam. Let me tell you, if a pope ever said that, Muslims would love him. They respect the Pope now. I don't know if you know that. The Muslims respect the Pope now, but they do not believe Jesus is the Son of God. If they ever had a Pope that says Jesus is not the Son of God, which would be apostatism, turning away from truth, the Muslims would endure him, love him, and embrace him, think he was the greatest thing going. And I believe that that lamb with 2 horns represents an apostate Pope who in the future will come. Now, the popes now believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Look, you're not an Antichrist when you believe Jesus is the Son of God. We're talking about something that will happen in the future. Now, having said that, here's what he does. He builds an image and makes the image speak and live. In Matthew 24 and 15, Jesus warned of an abomination that makes Jerusalem desolate. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 9, satanic lying signs and wonders under the Antichrist. Matthew 24:24, the image will speak and live. Did you know it speaks and lives? And then chapter 12 and verse 6, the image of the beast will cause the Jews to flee. Why did the Jews flee when they see the image. Here's the reason why. Leviticus 26:1, Deuteronomy chapter 4, they are forbidden to look at or worship an image. When they see that image set up, they know it's an abomination, because the word abomination is used in the Old Testament for idolatry. So they're not going to worship the image. Number two, Leviticus chapter 19:28. A lot of you may not know this. No religious Jew ever puts a tattoo on them. Now, I got a guy that works for me that's a Harley biker over the Sons of God biker organization, and he's tattooed head, toe, nose, back, front, front, you know. So with me, it's neither either or. That's a personal conviction. A Jew is told in Leviticus 19:28, do not put any prints or marks on you. Now, if they're going to put a mark of the beast on your hand or forehead, and you got an image up there, guess what's going to happen? The one group in the world that's not going to worship the image or put a marking on their body are Jews who are religious. Oh, preach on, Brother Perry. So what is this image? What is this? What do you think this image is, Brother Perry? The Greek word, ready, is simply icon. Yeah. Icon, meaning in Greek, statue, resemblance, or image. He builds an icon of the Antichrist, and all of a sudden that thing starts speaking and living. And you know as well as I do, folks, you know the way that people are today, that there would be people that would be so impressed by that. Wow, this is supernatural. This man's like God. He made this thing speak and live. And I personally believe that when it speaks, people are going to worship it. And one of the things that causes them to worship it and to take the mark is, I personally believe it's the image that tells them to take the mark to have great power. It's going to say something. If it's speaking, it's going to say. Now someone says, well, I think it's a computer. Ain't nobody going to worship a computer, trust me. Lord God, you got computers that can even do your work now, okay? Now 50 years ago, a computer would have impressed everybody, but it's not a, well, isn't it true in Brussels, Belgium, they have a computer called the Beast? I've heard that, but that still is not worshiping the beast. This is an actual icon that's built. In other words, 2 Thessalonians 2, this is a false, satanic, counterfeit miracle which takes place. Now, if you don't believe people get caught up in this, check this out. Chapter 13:4, and they worship the beast. 13:8, and they caused them that dwell therein to worship him. 13:12, he caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the beast. 14:9, if any man worship the beast. 14:11, they shall have no rest day or night who worship the beast. Chapter 20 and verse 4, which had not worshipped the beast. I'm telling you, there's something about when this image is created that the world will go into worship. The Antichrist has taken over the Jewish temple. He's a hero in the Islamic world. They will go ballistically nuts over this man. And you've got to remember the key. Satan gives him his throne. Wait a minute, you missed it. Satan, Revelation 13, gives the Antichrist. Satan has a throne now. He steps off his throne and lets another man sit on it. Wow. This is how he's got such authority. This is how he's got such power over people. This is how he's able to deceive. Nobody can kill him. Nobody can touch him. In case you didn't know it, let me just share this with you. Can I share something with you real quick? In case you didn't know it, well, let me hold that. Let's go to 13, 16 through 18. He causes all small, great, and this is what I'll get into tonight, rich, poor, free, and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell save he have the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of the man, the number 666. Now, this is important. This passage comes along after the false prophet comes to power. I have always contended the possibility that the mark of the beast is a religious mark that marks you for that religion. You must convert to the religion of the Antichrist in order to be fed, which simply means you have to become a Muslim. You go to Islamic teaching and they believe in the end of days they will convert the world to their religion. They also believe if you don't convert, you will die by, ready? Beheading. Hello? Revelation 20. I saw the souls of them that were beheaded. Islam is the one religion in the world that cuts people's heads off. You've seen it. You've heard about it. It's true. all over the world. And so that is another clue that this is a empire of Islam which rises at the end of days. Now, when this image is set up, it will be set up at the temple. Listen, I can show you this in the book of Daniel. The Amplified reads, "He will enter into a strong and firm covenant with many for 1 week of 7 years. In the midst of this week, he will cause the sacrifice to cease, and upon the wing or pinnacle of abominations," that's how it reads in Hebrew, the wing or the pinnacle, "will come one who makes desolate until the full determined